In the 18th century, the Wild Horse Desert was a brutal stretch of northern New Spain. It demanded absolute resilience from anyone attempting to settle its scrub-brush plains. Around 1768, a colonist named Juan Jose Solis arrived from Spain to stake his claim. He was awarded a royal patent for 6,184 acres of frontier land, a tract officially designated as Porción 107. This grant sought directly along the Rio Grande in what is now Starr County, Texas. It was a remote, rugged location, defined by the winding river and the jagged peaks rising in the distance. Solis and his family transformed this isolated valley into a thriving communal operation. For decades, they managed vast herds of cattle and sheep, establishing a ranching culture that would define the region for 2 centuries. For nearly 100 years, Porción 107 served as the undisputed foundation of the family's wealth and survival on a hostile frontier. By the 1850s, the political map had shifted. The end of the Mexican-American War moved the international border, leaving Tejano landholders on the North Bank worried that the new Texas government would seize their ancestral property. To address these claims, the state of Texas created the Bourland-Miller Commission. This body was sent south to investigate and verify the legitimacy of old Spanish and Mexican land titles. The local population met the commission with deep suspicion, fearing that their original documents would be used as a roadmap for confiscation. Many families initially refused to participate in the hearings. When titles were eventually submitted, disaster struck during the return trip. The steamer Anson sank in a violent storm, taking the Commission's records and the original 1767 land patents to the bottom of the Gulf. With the primary evidence lost at sea, the burden of proof fell to the survivors. The 19th century heirs had to find a way to reconstruct a chain of title that the ocean had attempted to erase. Modern forensic genealogists bridge these gaps using the genealogical proof standard. This is a rigorous methodology that uses diverse secondary evidence to rebuild a history when the primary records no longer exist. In the 1850s, the defense of the Solis ranching interests fell to the next generation. Records like the 1850 census show Francisco Solis, a local butcher, and his wife Anastasia Rivas de Solis maintaining the family's physical presence on the land. To track ownership, researchers looked to hijuelas, or probate partition deeds. These documents vertically sliced the large porción into long vertical tracts, ensuring every heir maintained access to the river's water. This secondary paper trail of deeds and census records was enough to satisfy the state. On February 10, 1852, the Texas legislature officially confirmed the Solis grant as valid. While the 1852 Act secured the surface rights for those ancestors, the Anson gap remains a hurdle for modern descendants. To secure a contemporary claim, they must definitively prove their biological connection to those specific legislated heirs. Where the 19th century paper trail concludes, modern biology begins to fill the documentary vacuum. Researchers use DNA triangulation to map inherited sequences. By analyzing autosomal DNA and matching specific genetic units, centimorgan segments, on chromosome 9, they identify markers shared by living relatives. Tracking specific lineages, like haplogroup N1A, provides a biological signature verifying an unbroken chain of custody. This triangulated data tethers modern claimants directly to Antonio Solis Sr., providing the biological evidence needed to connect them to the heirs recognized by the state in 1852. Integrating this genomic data fulfills the requirements for biological verification. It anchors the modern title claim, moving it from a historical probability to a forensically documented fact. Genetic triangulation reveals a history far older than the Spanish grant. The DNA exposes deep roots in the Otomí and Nahua civilizations of central Mexico's volcanic cordillera. From those highlands, the family migrated to the silver mines of Guanajuato before expanding north into the ranching networks of San Antonio and the Rio Grande. In the early 20th century, the Mexican Revolution's upheaval created a new wave of displacement. Kinship networks shifted again as the bloodline moved north in search of stability. The final leg of this migration saw the Solis descendants merging with Bernal and Alvarez lines. They moved to Saginaw and Bay City, Michigan, forming the backbone of the mid-century industrial workforce. The records of Porción 1007 document a 400-year cycle of migration and settlement. They trace a single bloodline's transition from the frontiers of New Spain to the industrial heartland of the American Midwest.